Have you ever met someone who could sense your sadness, even when you were smiling? Someone who stayed when everyone else walked away. Someone who listened without judgment. Who understood your silence better than your words. That's not magic. That's a Pisces. But here's a question no one asks. What happens when you betray someone like that? What happens when you hurt the person who would have given you their whole heart, without asking for anything in return? Today, we're going to explore a truth that most people overlook. Pisces might be the most compassionate sign of the zodiac, but once you break their trust, you lose something much deeper than just a friend. You lose your emotional safe place. You lose the person who believed in your light when you only saw darkness. And the saddest part? By the time you realize it, they're already gone. In this video, we'll dive into the hidden psychology of Pisces. The reasons why their love heals you, and why their absence haunts you. Why karma listens when they cry. And why once a Pisces lets go, there's no going back. So, if you've ever loved a Pisces, hurt a Pisces, or been a Pisces yourself, this video is for you. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe for more deep stories about astrology and human nature. Click like if you've ever felt this kind of connection. And share this video with someone who needs to understand the quiet power of compassion. Let's get started. Most people think being emotionally vulnerable is a weakness. But what if I told you, it's the exact opposite? A Pisces doesn't hide their feelings behind walls or filters. When they care about you, they'll show you. Clearly. Directly. Without fear. That moment when they tell you exactly how they feel, when they look you in the eyes and let their guard down, that's not softness. That's courage. Because being real in a world that rewards emotional distance takes incredible strength. But here's where it gets dangerous. When you betray a Pisces, you're not just breaking their trust. You're teaching them a painful lesson. That their honesty, their emotional openness, wasn't safe. You're showing them that even when they offer their soul without conditions, people can still choose to hurt them. And once they learn that, they change. Slowly. Quietly. They build walls higher than you can imagine. And what you've lost? It's not just their love. It's the version of them who believed in the goodness of people. The version who looked at you like you were safe. And that version never comes back. Have you ever met someone who seems to feel your emotions before you say a word? That's not fantasy. That's how Pisces live. Their empathy isn't a skill. It's their nature. They sense energy shifts. They hear your sadness in your silence. They notice when your eyes lose their spark. Even if you're laughing. And when that happens, they act. Quietly. Naturally. Without asking for recognition. They'll check on you at midnight. Offer help before you admit you're struggling. Send you a message when your energy feels heavy, even if you said everything's fine. And when they do remind you of what they did, it's not about keeping score. It's about something deeper. They want to know their love mattered. That their presence wasn't invisible. So when you betray that, you're not just rejecting a favor. You're erasing a soul that showed up when no one else did. You probably didn't even notice it. How ordinary days felt lighter. How simple things, like walking down the street or cooking dinner, somehow turned special when they were around. That's a Pisces gift. They don't live in the moment, they create it. It's not about grand vacations or expensive surprises. It's how they see the world. Through a lens of wonder. They'll make you laugh in a traffic jam. Turn a rainy day into a memory. Catch small details no one else sees, and share them like hidden treasures. And here's the cruel truth, you don't realize how much magic they brought to your life, until it's gone. You think the world changed. But really, it's your world without them. The colors dull. The laughter fades. And suddenly, the excitement you thought was coming from life, you realize it was coming from them. And if you're lucky enough to have had a Pisces push you forward, you know what I'm talking about. People think Pisces are passive, dreamy, maybe even weak. But that's because they don't understand what quiet strength looks like. Pisces don't push from behind. They stand beside you. When you doubted yourself, they doubled their belief in you. When you were scared, they encouraged you. They saw potential in you before you could even glimpse it. And they didn't do it to control you. They did it because they genuinely wanted you to win. Not for their benefit, but for your growth. Their support wasn't surface level. It was soul deep. And if you ever broke their trust, you didn't just lose a friend. You lost your biggest cheerleader. You lost someone who believed in you more than you believed in yourself. Now imagine this. Picture one day you wake up and all of that is gone. The emotional connection. The quiet encouragement. The moments that felt like magic. The person who made you feel seen when you felt invisible. That's what happens when you lose a Pisces. And by the time you realize it, they've already locked the door behind them. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the person who makes you laugh the most is the one who understands your pain the deepest? That's the quiet magic of a Pisces. They don't force you to smile when your heart feels heavy. They don't drown you in false cheerfulness. They simply know when you need light. And they give it to you without asking anything back. Sometimes it's a joke at just the right moment. Sometimes it's a silly idea that makes you forget your worries for a while. Sometimes it's just a look. A look that says, "I'm here. You're safe." And without even realizing it, you're laughing again. Breathing again. Feeling a little less broken. That's the gift they give without thinking. And when you hurt someone like that, when you choose to betray the person who pulled you out of your darkest days, the silence they leave behind is louder than you can imagine. Because once they're gone, you'll realize nobody else could make you feel that way. And the loneliness you feel is the absence of their quiet joy. Now here's a truth people don't like to hear. Pisces forgive. But they never forget. You might think that's a weakness. That forgiving people who hurt you means you're soft. But for Pisces, forgiveness isn't about letting you back in. It's about setting themselves free. They know people are flawed. They understand emotions get messy. That love sometimes hurts. So they'll forgive you. They'll smile at you. They'll wish you well. But inside, something shifts. A wall rises. Soft, but firm. Made from the broken pieces you left behind. And that wall, it never fully comes down. You'll feel it in small ways. The hesitation before they open up again. The way their eyes stop glowing when they look at you. The warmth that once felt like home, now feels distant. They're still there. But they're not the same. Because once you've broken their trust, you don't get the old version of them back. You become a lesson. A quiet reminder of what trust costs. Not because they hate you. But because now, they have to protect themselves. Have you ever wished someone could just understand how you feel, without explaining it? That's how Pisces love. Their empathy isn't something they turn on and off. It's who they are. They don't just hear your pain. They feel it. Even the pain you try to hide. Even the sadness you cover with a smile. They'll sit with your silence. Hold space for your confusion. Stay present when everyone else gets uncomfortable. And the hardest part? They'd never do to you what you did to them. They wouldn't lie to you. They wouldn't use your vulnerability against you. That's why their betrayal cuts deeper than most. Because when you hurt someone like that, you're not just breaking trust. You're hurting the one person who would have protected you from anyone else. And the guilt? It won't hit you right away. It comes later. When you realize that no one else listens the way they did. No one else sees you the way they did. Because that kind of empathy isn't common. It's a rare gift. And once it's gone, it leaves a hole nothing else can fill. Think about this. In your life, when things fell apart, who stayed? Who ran toward your chaos when everyone else ran away? For many people, the answer is simple. It was a Pisces. They don't leave when life gets messy. They lean in. They swim through your storms, even when the waves threaten to drown them too. When your life was on fire, they didn't watch from a distance. They ran into the flames. They poured their energy, their time, their love, even their peace, into pulling you out. And here's the most painful part. While they were saving you, they forgot to save themselves. They carried your chaos, held your darkness, believed in your healing. But when they needed you, where were you? And if you abandoned them after everything they did to keep you afloat, that betrayal scars them in a way no apology can heal. They learn, slowly, painfully, that sometimes the person they tried to save was the one who let go of their hand. And after that moment, they change. Forever. They'll keep swimming. But now, they swim alone. Harder. Colder. And that warmth they once gave you so freely? You'll never feel it again. Because when Pisces break, they don't break loudly. There's no explosion. No screaming. Just silence. A quiet, painful silence. And one day, you'll look for them. Search for that softness. That sanctuary. And it'll be gone. Not stolen. Not lost. But given away. To someone who won't waste it. And if you think that's the end of their story, you're wrong. Because the next 3 truths I'm about to share reveal the deepest, most controversial, and perhaps most painful parts of a Pisces soul. Stay with me. You're not ready for what comes next. Sometimes, you meet people who seem to carry more than their share of pain. Not because life gave them heavier burdens, but because they chose to hold the pain of others. That's what Pisces do. They absorb emotions like sponges. Yours. Theirs. Even the pain you didn't know you were giving off. And they won't tell you they're breaking. They'll keep smiling. Keep showing up. Until one day, something inside them quietly overflows. And they shut down. Not with anger. Not with drama. But with silence. You won't see it happen. You'll just feel the distance. You'll feel the absence of the light they used to shine on your darkest days. And here's the hardest truth. When a Pisces shuts down, it's almost impossible to bring them back. Because they're not punishing you. They're protecting whatever little pieces of themselves they have left. What most people never realize is how Pisces turn pain into stories. Into poetry. Into art. When you betray them, it's not just a memory that fades. Their mind, their imagination, turns it into something bigger. 1,000 scenes. 100 metaphors. A story that plays on repeat in their heart. And in that story, you become the villain. Not because they hate you. But because their mind needs to understand why the person they trusted became the person who hurt them. And here's the thing, long after you've moved on, they're still living inside that world their imagination created. You become the ghost in their poems. The shadow behind their songs. The reason their story changed. It's not revenge. It's survival. It's how their soul tries to heal. But in doing so, they immortalize the pain. And you. Every time someone reads their words, listens to their silence, or watches their sadness, your betrayal lives on. The reason Pisces carry this level of emotional depth lies beyond personality. It's written in the stars. Pisces are ruled by Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, and emotional tides. This means they don't just live in the real world. They live between what is and what could be. They see not just who you are, but the best version of you. The version you didn't even see in yourself. And that's why falling in love with a Pisces feels different. Because they're loving the highest version of your soul. But here's where Neptune's power becomes a curse. Dreams don't last forever. Eventually, Pisces wake up. And when they do, it's fast. It's final. The illusion dissolves. And so do they. Not with anger. Not with hate. But with silence. And that silence is colder than any goodbye you've ever heard. Because when a Pisces stops believing in you, they simply leave. Not because they don't care. But because the world they built around you is gone. That's why, when you betray a Pisces, it's not like hurting anyone else. It's deeper. It's spiritual. You don't just break their heart. You shatter the dream they had of you. And that's a wound that doesn't heal. Because Pisces don't know how to rebuild a world that was destroyed. Once the dream breaks, it's over. They don't do second chances. Not because they're cruel. But because their dream was their trust. Their love. Their safety. And once that's broken, letting you back in would feel like betraying themselves. They won't scream at you. They won't try to hurt you back. They'll just step back. Close the door. And you'll be standing on the outside, looking in. Watching a world you once belonged to. A world that only existed because they dreamed it into life. And no matter how much you knock, no matter how much you apologize, they won't open that door again. Because for them, there's no coming back from betrayal. Not because they don't love you anymore. But because they finally remembered how to love themselves. And that's the tragedy most people never realize, until it's too late. Because the final 3 truths about Pisces will show you the deepest, most painful, and possibly the most controversial sides of their soul. What happens after they leave? Why their absence hurts more than their presence ever did. And why, once they heal, you'll miss them more than they ever missed you. Stay with me. The ending will change the way you see Pisces forever. When a Pisces leaves your life, it's not loud. There's no argument. No final message. No dramatic goodbye. One day they're simply gone. And at first, you might not notice the difference. But over time, something feels wrong. You walk into familiar places and feel a strange silence. You hear songs that once made you smile, and they suddenly sting. You catch yourself looking for someone who isn't coming back. That's the absence of a Pisces. They don't just exit your life. They haunt it. And the reason is simple. Their presence wasn't just physical. It was emotional. Spiritual. They touched parts of your soul that no one else could reach. And now that they're gone, you'll start searching. For someone who listens like they did. For someone who sees you like they did. But no matter how far you look, you won't find them. Because you weren't missing a person. You were missing the way they made you feel. And that's when the realization hits you. Pisces wasn't just a friend or a partner. They were your safe place. The one person who didn't judge your flaws. The one who accepted your chaos without conditions. Being with them felt like coming home after a long storm. Their energy was calm. Gentle. Healing. And when they loved you, they didn't just love who you pretended to be. They loved the real you. The unfiltered, unpolished, broken parts of you. And for a moment in your life, you believed that was enough. That you were enough. But betrayal changes everything. Because once you hurt a Pisces, that safe place disappears. And no matter how much you regret it, no matter how much you beg, the door stays closed. Not out of anger, but out of self-protection. Pisces gave you trust once. And once is all they give. When it's broken, they can't open that door again. Because loving you cost them too much. Now here's the part that most people misunderstand. Pisces won't hate you. Even after everything. Even through the pain, they'll still wish you healing. They'll still hope you grow, learn, and find peace. But don't confuse that with trust. Because forgiveness, for Pisces, doesn't mean access. They may let go of the anger, but they won't rebuild the bridge you burned. You'll hear their polite words. See their soft smile. But deep down, you'll feel the distance. The coldness where warmth used to be. And that's where the real heartbreak begins. Because you'll realize something devastating. Being hated by someone who loved you hurts. But being forgotten by them, that's worse. Because Pisces won't fight you. They won't argue. They'll just fade. Slowly. Quietly. Until one day, you'll wake up, and there'll be a stranger who used to know your soul. And here's a truth that's even harder to admit. Pisces knew your darkness. And they stayed. They saw your flaws. Your anger. Your pain. And instead of running, they held your hand through it. When others judged, they understood. When others left, they stayed. They loved not the mask you wore, but the soul underneath it. And when you betrayed them, their heartbreak wasn't just about the betrayal. It was about absorbing your darkness. Because Pisces don't just watch your pain, they carry it. And in loving you, they let your shadows become theirs. They fought for you. Fought for your healing. Even when you didn't. And when they finally walk away, it's not anger that drives them. It's exhaustion. Because no one else stayed in the darkest parts of your life like they did. And now, they're gone. Taking with them the last person who loved the version of you no one else could. And here's the lesson you may only learn when it's too late. People don't miss Pisces because of what they said. Or even what they did. People miss Pisces because of how they made them feel. Safe. Seen. Understood. And once that feeling disappears, life feels colder. Sharper. More alone. But don't think the story ends here. Because the final 3 truths I'm about to share will reveal the deepest secrets of Pisces. Their silence. Their karma. And the moment you realize, they're healing. While you're missing them. Stay with me. The ending is something you'll never forget. A Pisces doesn't need your words to know the truth. You can say you're fine. You can smile. You can pretend everything's okay. But they'll feel the shift. They'll sense the tension beneath your sentences. The heaviness in your silence. The flicker in your eyes that you try to hide. And even when you lie to protect yourself, even when your mask feels perfect, they're already reading your energy. Because Pisces don't just listen to what you say. They listen to what you don't. They hear the words between your words. And when you betray them, when you choose dishonesty over vulnerability, they feel it deep inside their soul. Not as anger. Not even as disappointment. But as a quiet, crushing betrayal of the emotional connection they trusted. What hurts isn't that you lied. It's that you didn't feel safe enough to be honest. And that's the moment they begin to pull away. Slowly. Without drama. Without confrontation. They just stop searching for answers. They stop asking. They stop hoping. And when a Pisces stops hoping, it's not because they've stopped loving you. It's because they've finally realized they deserve honesty. They deserve more than pretending everything is fine. And their silence? That's not distance. It's clarity. And now. Here's the part you might not believe. Karma loves Pisces. They're not people who seek revenge. They won't plot ways to make you hurt. They'll simply step back and let life teach you. Because the universe listens when Pisces cries. And karma listens even closer. You might think you got away with hurting them. But life balances itself. Slowly. Quietly. And suddenly, small things will remind you of what you lost. You'll meet people, but none of them will love you the way a Pisces did. You'll seek comfort, but everything will feel like noise. And meanwhile, the Pisces you hurt? They'll keep healing, growing, loving. Just not you. Because Pisces move forward. They don't stay broken forever. And life? Life has a way of showing you what you lost when you broke the heart that would have protected you from anyone else. And it's not punishment. It's a lesson. You weren't cursed. You were shown the value of compassion after you threw it away. That's why losing a Pisces is a quiet kind of karma. It doesn't hit all at once. It lingers. It echoes. And it stays with you long after they're gone. So now, we've reached the end of their story. But maybe it's also the beginning of yours. Because loving a Pisces teaches you more about yourself than you realize. It teaches you about kindness, about empathy, about listening not just to words but to silences. And maybe about what it means to love someone completely before it's too late. If you've ever been loved by a Pisces, or if you are one, you know this story isn't just about astrology. It's about human hearts. Soft ones. Strong ones. Hearts that carry others until they forget to carry themselves. So what do you do now? You remember. You remember to treat the next soft heart you meet like the gift that it is. And if you saw yourself in this video, if it felt like your story, or someone you know, don't leave without doing something simple but powerful. Click subscribe. Join this channel if you want to explore more stories about the human soul, about astrology, and about understanding the people we too often misunderstand. Like this video if it helped you see someone in a new light. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. Because maybe you'll help them before it's too late. This is only one story. There are so many more waiting to be told. And I'll see you in the next video.